So fun fact, this is my voice for this video, but as I promised you guys, because you're my channel, I said I'm doing a video every time on a Wednesday that there's fights. Even though I sound like I swallowed a running lawnmower and ate porcupines on the cob, there's fights this weekend, and they're absolutely free. Like and subscribe, hit the dislike button, leave a comment below. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to UFC Fight Night Russia! There's 2 fights I want to talk to you about, so we're going to get right into them. We have a lightweight clash. 2 Russian assassins. We have Arman Tsarukyan going up against the deadly Islam Makhachev. Makhachev. Sorry, you're going to have to deal with this. This sucks. But you know it's not going to suck? This fight. We're talking about 2 virtually identical fighters. They're both judoka and sambo vets and very much have that style. It's very, very similar. Not as great, but similar to Khabib time, which asks so many questions for the future of Khabib's future opponents. Will it in fact be a Russian? Because they seem to have the same hunger for fighting and the same style for fighting too. These guys are both knockout artists and both submission and grappling gurus. If you look at Arman, this is Arman's first fight in the UFC. His last fight is coming in the organization League S70, such a strange name, knocking out Felipe Oliveira via devastating head kick. But if we look at his record, he's got plenty of submissions. He has numerous rear naked chokes. He also has a devastating spinning back kick knockout. He is tenacious and very, very vicious. Just like Israel, when they approach these fights, they're just hungry and try to take each other's heads off. Now, this is the difference, because when we look at Islam, he came up short in his first outing of the UFC, but since then he has wrung 5 straight victories. Notables like Nick Lentz and of course that highlight knockout against Gleison Tibau. I can't figure out if my voice is sexier or scary.
Hello UFC fans, I want to play a game.
Now, I do believe that Arman has a lot to prove here. He's going to come into these lights and he is going to be more hungry than ever. But they're both fighting on home soil, so that's not going to play a factor here. We have seen, especially in his outing against Adriano Martins, he is always the one that likes to push that pace. But when someone pushes that pace back at him, such as Adriano did, we see Islam tend to get a little bit sloppy. Now, I do think Arman is that fighter to bring that fight out, to run right at him and start swinging for the fences. This could be very problematic for Islam, and I think Arman could walk away with the W here. And I don't think grappling is going to take too much of a factor here until somebody's run. But I think evidently Arman is going to be the one that's going to catch Islam in that moment of sloppiness, end up taking him to the ground and pounding him until the ref pulls him off, or maybe even getting that flash knockout in the very first round. Now, of course, when we go to the main event, we have a huge heavyweight clash. Alexei Oleinik going up against Netherlands' own and probably the most well-established, world-renowned combat fighter in Alistair Overeem. Now, the reason why I say the world renowned is because this guy has been doing kickboxing his whole career. He's fought on literally all the biggest stages of MMA, Bellator aside, thus far anyway. He has made a huge name for himself in this world, and obviously the steroid world. Now, Alexei Oleinik is crafty, and he has one thing that Alistair falls short on every single time, and that is his ground game. Alexei Oleinik is coming off of 2 straight nasty submissions, one going against Junior Albany and the other one going against Mark Hunt. Not too much of the biggest threats on the ground, but nonetheless guys that are far bigger and heavier than Alexei Oleinik, and Alexei Oleinik was just able to outpower them, outwit them, take it to the ground, and get that submission. This is going to have to be his game plan when he fights someone like Alistair, because Alistair is going to go in with that one game plan, and he's going to try to kickbox you, which he can very much do. But we've seen Alistair's jaw, and unfortunately it is made of glass. My theory for that is because he used to fight a lot lighter back in the Pride days when he fought guys like Shogun. But after that steroid burst, he packed on too much pounds of muscle, and although now his stature, his figure is that of a heavyweight fighter, his jaw, in my opinion, is not made for those heavyweight bombs. His bones are just not made for that, and that's what Alexei Oleinik should be trying to expose in this fight. You know, having Alistair thinking he's going to be taken to his back, but Alexei catching him with a dirty boxing shot against the cage, and maybe then getting on top of him and getting that submission victory. Now, Alistair's had a very rough go in the UFC, but his last fight is coming by devastating win knockout against Sergey Pavlovich back in Beijing, but before that he fell short twice, brutally, against Curtis Blades and Francis Ngannou. And I really think Curtis Blades and Francis Ngannou really put the nail in that coffin. Now, I do think this could be the end of the road for Alistair Overeem. I think Alexei Oleinik, especially having a near home advantage, is really going to have that crowd behind him. And with that crowd behind him, I think Alexei Oleinik is really going to enjoy his time in the octagon, take his time, wait for his moment for Alistair to slip up, get a hold of Alistair, and probably evidently taking him to the ground and getting a submission or ground and pound. But I think first he is going to catch him, and he's going to catch him hard. Nonetheless, this is going to be a great heavyweight fight. We have two fighters, and if we look at the record, together they have a combined over 110 professional MMA bouts. This isn't including kickboxing, sambo, it's not including amateur bouts, it's included only professional MMA bouts. They fought the best of the best, not always coming up on the W side, but nonetheless are going to come in very smart and very cautious. They're not going to run at each other right away and make those sloppy mistakes to get caught, maybe causing for a little bit boring of a few opening minutes. I am going to call this as well being in the first round. I think Alexei Oleinik and Alistair are going to take their time in the first couple minutes. Alistair's going to come in, maybe slip up when they exchange. Alexei is going to catch him, evidently take it to the ground until the ref pulls him off. Hopefully that means that Alistair retires, because I do think he has worn enough damage and he has nothing left to prove. Thank you so much for watching this 6th round. Please enjoy the fights this Saturday. My voice sucks. I was planning to do a post show for the fights that just finished, the UFC 236. Don't forget to like or dislike, doesn't matter. Hit the subscribe button. Thank you for bearing with me. I know this video sound-wise isn't the most appealing, but I made a promise to you guys, and I am doing anything in my power not to break this promise as an entertainer. We're going to see you, well, on Friday. But the MMA fans, we're going to see you next Wednesday. Thank you so much for putting up with me, and peace out.